Cultural appropriation, cultural diversity, cultural relativism, intercultural competence, social inequality, cross-culturality, transculturation, acculturation, cultural assimilation, multiculturality, interculturality, cultural intelligence, intercultural communication, global mindset. What a mess of concepts! But I'm sure you have heard them at some point. So my goal today is to clarify, to focus on 4 concepts: multiculturality, cross-culturality, interculturality, and intercultural competence. I want to start with multiculturality, okay, which refers to a society that contains several cultural or ethnic groups where people live together alongside one another, but each group does not necessarily have engaged interactions with each other. Okay, they just coexist, share the same space without touching, without engaging nor mixing, without learning from each other. Okay, so for example, in a multicultural neighborhood, people may frequently go to ethnic restaurants where clothes from different parts of the world without really interacting with their neighbors who come from different countries or from other national cultures than the one they are living in now. Then we have cross-culturality, okay? When we talk about cross-cultural, we mean that it deals with some comparison of different cultures. It refers to a person that relates to different cultures of nations, so it's 1-to-1. Differences are acknowledged and understood, and there might be individual change, but not group nor collective transformation. In cross-cultural societies, one culture is often considered the norm, and all the other cultures are compared or contrasted to the dominant cultures. For example, also a lot of expats, not all of them of course, but many expats, so that's people who move to a different country, usually to work. A lot of expats move to poorer countries than the one they are from, and despite having decided to live in a different culture, consider their culture of origin as the correct one, and the host culture as inferior. Okay, it's sometimes implicit in the behavior. And then we have a very interesting concept, which is interculturality. Interculturality describes communities in which there is a deep understanding and respect for all cultures that gather in that same society or community. Okay, no one is left unchanged because everyone learns from one another and grows together. So that's the main idea, but there are different definitions with details that I would like to share with you. We have Veronica Hidalgo, who writes that interculturality is a relation, a change, and mutual enrichment between different cultures. Then we have the official definition of the UNESCO, which refers to the existence and equitable interaction of diverse cultures and the possibility of generating shared cultural expression through dialogue and mutual respect. There are many definitions, as said, of interculturality, and most of the ones that we usually hear from come from Europe or the US, especially in literature in English. So we only have one side of the coin here. But there's also a big and very interesting work by authors from Latin America, Africa, and Asia, with approaches that include the native cosmovisions, their views of the world, and that might challenge the general idea that most of us have about interculturality. For example, MARAKAN, who presents interculturality as an emancipation tool, a fight for real equality and equity, not only cultural in a superficial sense, but also in a material sense. As happens with indigenous people of Latin America, who never identified themselves only with their origin, but also with the occupation as farmers or constructions. Their identities are dual because it mixes social class and ethnicity. So MARAKAN adds these 2 concepts here. This social class, ethnicity, equality, and equity. Still another author, Nicahuate Palma. He belongs to the Ashaninka in the Peruvian Amazonia and says that interculturality is living in harmony in a single space, respecting the culture, cosmovision, and an equal treatment to everyone. For them and for many other communities and authors, interculturality is a tool for equity and justice. I will talk more in depth about different approaches about interculturality in in future videos. I think it's very interesting. And last but not least, we have intercultural competence. Being a good member of a community other than one's own, or other than our own. For example, in my case, when I moved to Germany or to China or to India, I challenged my intercultural competence when living in those very different cultures and being one more, just having the skills and attitudes to be one more of the group and adapt to the newest tradition, to the new ways of being and acting. I never managed to do it 100%, but it's always good to try. That would be intercultural competence. The good news is that you don't need to memorize all these concept theories, authors. No, there's no need for that. What is the core message of interculturality? We live in the same planet, and we should respect each other, love each other, and feel equal to each other, no matter what we look like, no matter where we come from. If we achieve that, there you go. Interculturality and human justice. If you like the video and you want to keep learning about intercultural competence applied to real-life situations, please don't forget to subscribe, and gracias, adeu.